The rain showed no mercy that evening. It poured endlessly, turning the narrow street outside Ian's tiny workshop into a stream of muddy water. The air smelled of engine oil and wet rust, but for Ian, it was home. His father coughed heavily in the corner, hunched over an old radio he was trying to fix for a local vendor. Ian glanced at him with concern. "Baba, you should rest," he said softly. His father waved him off with a weak smile. "Rest doesn't feed us, son. We fix machines to survive." Just then, the screech of tires cut through the rain. A black luxury car stopped right outside, its headlights slicing through the downpour. Ian squinted. It was a car he'd only seen in magazines. The door opened, and a woman stepped out, shielding herself with a sleek umbrella. Even drenched, she radiated authority. Her high heels sank into the puddle, and her elegant suit was splattered with mud. "Is this a repair shop?" she asked, her voice steady but frustrated. "My car just died on the highway. I've already called 3 garages, but no one answered." Ian quickly nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Let me take a look." As he approached the car, lightning flashed above, illuminating his thin figure and determined face. He popped the hood open, revealing a smoking engine. Steam hissed upward, mixing with rain. Without hesitation, Ian grabbed his tools and began working. His fingers, though numb from the cold, moved with practiced precision. The woman watched him curiously from under her umbrella. "You're quite young to be this skilled," she said, trying to make conversation. "My father taught me," he replied, tightening a loose wire. "We've been fixing cars since I was 12. Guess I learned faster than most." She smiled faintly at his quiet confidence. The rain drummed harder against the metal roof, but Ian stayed focused. He had no fancy equipment, just a few wrenches, some spare wires, and his sharp instincts. Within minutes, the car engine coughed and roared back to life. Ian stepped back, wiping his forehead with his sleeve. "There you go, ma'am. It's running fine now. Just be careful, it might need a new coil soon." The woman looked at him in disbelief. "You fixed it, in the rain, without any equipment?" He shrugged modestly. "Sometimes, it's not about tools, it's about heart." For a moment, she just stared, something shifting in her eyes. She handed him her business card. "You have potential, Ian. Come find me." That night, as she drove away, Ian stood in the rain, unaware that his life had just taken its first turn toward destiny. A week passed, and Maria's life returned to its familiar rhythm of exhaustion and responsibility. She worked double shifts at the diner, came home to cook simple meals, helped Leo with his homework, and prayed quietly that the bills would somehow balance themselves. The night at the subway lingered in her mind, but she assumed she would never hear about the man she saved again. He was a stranger, after all. Someone from a different world. That evening, the diner buzzed with its usual crowd of late-night regulars and tired workers. Maria moved between tables with her practiced smile, balancing trays and refilling coffee cups. She was wiping down the counter when the door chimed and a tall figure stepped inside. He looked out of place among the worn booths and flickering lights. His tailored suit was immaculate, his shoes polished, and his presence commanding. The chatter dimmed for a moment as eyes turned toward him. But he didn't scan the room for someone important. His gaze went straight to Maria. Her breath caught. It was him, the stranger from the subway. His face, though still pale from recent recovery, carried strength. His eyes softened when they met hers. "You," he said quietly, as if in disbelief. "You're the reason I'm standing here. I don't even know your name." Maria's hand stilled on the cloth she held. She felt suddenly self-conscious in her faded uniform, her hair tied back in a messy bun. She swallowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maria, just Maria." He repeated her name as though it were something precious. "Maria, I'm Richard Hale." He hesitated, almost testing how much to reveal, but her expression told him she had no idea who he was. For once, it was refreshing. "I owe you my life." Her cheeks flushed. "You don't owe me anything. I just did what anyone would have done." Richard shook his head. "No." People stood back. "You didn't. That matters." He glanced at the photo taped behind the counter, a smiling boy with big brown eyes. "Is that your son?" Maria nodded cautiously. "Leo. He's 7. From that night forward, Richard became a quiet but steady presence in her world. He visited the diner often, never announcing who he was or drawing attention. Sometimes he asked about her day, sometimes he helped Leo with math problems scribbled on napkins, and sometimes he just sat, listening. It wasn't grand gestures that touched her, it was the way he looked at her as though she mattered, as though her struggles weren't invisible. For a woman who had spent years surviving, Maria began to feel something she hadn't in a long time: seen, valued, and quietly loved. Success had changed Ian's surroundings, but not his soul. Despite the fame, interviews, and applause, he still rode the same old bus home to his small neighborhood, where his father waited proudly at the door each night. The launch of the Rain Line model had made him a household name, the poor mechanic's son who revolutionized an entire company, yet Ian never forgot the rain-soaked night that started it all. Zara, on the other hand, found herself seeing him in a new light every day. The boardroom, once filled with people chasing profit, now buzzed with a rare sense of purpose, thanks to Ian's humility and drive. He had become more than her employee, he was the soul of her company. One afternoon, she called him to her office. "You've done something extraordinary, Ian," she said, sliding a folder across the table. Inside was a letter of promotion, head of innovation department. Ian's eyes widened. "Ma'am, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Zara said with a grin. "You've earned it." He accepted with a grateful heart, but as days passed, their professional bond began to blur into something deeper. They spent long hours discussing ideas, sharing stories over late-night coffee, and laughing about how destiny had crashed their lives together in the rain. Yet, Zara was cautious. She was older, powerful, and the world would question their closeness. "People will talk," she said one evening as they walked through the quiet workshop. Ian met her gaze, calm and sincere. "Let them. I don't care what they see, I care what I feel." Her heart faltered at his honesty. For years, she'd built walls around herself, but Ian's sincerity chipped them away, one smile at a time. One night, after a company event, rain began to fall again, softly this time. As everyone rushed for shelter, Zara paused by the entrance, looking at the droplets. Ian joined her, umbrella in hand. "Déjà vu," she said with a small smile. He chuckled. "Back then, I fixed your car. Now, we're building dreams together." She looked at him for a long moment, her expression tender. "And you fixed more than my car, Ian. You fixed me." As thunder rolled softly in the distance, they stood under the same rain that had changed everything, no longer strangers, but two souls forever bound by fate. Months passed, and Ian's influence within Malik Motors only grew stronger. Under his leadership, the company launched several innovative projects focused on affordable, eco-friendly vehicles, something no one had believed possible before. Investors praised Zara's visionary management, but she always corrected them with a gentle smile. "It wasn't my vision," she'd say. "It was his heart." Their partnership had become legendary in the industry, though whispers about their closeness followed everywhere they went. Some board members doubted Ian, believing his rise was luck. Others envied his humble wisdom that outshone their polished degrees. But Zara stood by him through it all, her confidence in him unshakable. One day, during a major investor conference, Ian took the stage alone for the first time. His voice trembled slightly as he began, "Years ago, I was just a mechanic's son fixing broken engines in the rain. Today, I stand here not as someone who changed cars, but as someone who was changed by kindness." The hall fell silent. Zara, watching from the front row, felt her chest tighten with pride. After his speech, the audience erupted into applause. Ian stepped down and approached her, his eyes glistening. "That was for you," he whispered. That night, after the conference, Zara invited him to her family's old farmhouse outside the city, a quiet place where she went to think. The evening sky glowed orange, and the sound of rain began once more, gentle and rhythmic. "You know," she said, looking out at the fields, "the night I met you, I was thinking of selling the company. I was tired of everything. But you changed that." Ian smiled softly. "And you changed my life, Ms. Zara." Zara, she corrected. Just Zara. The silence that followed spoke louder than any confession. They stood close, the air charged with emotion, not born of impulse, but of something slow, deep, and genuine. As thunder murmured in the distance, Zara reached out and took his hand. Promise me one thing, she said. No matter how far we go, never lose the heart that fixed my car that night. Ian squeezed her hand gently. Only if you promise to never stop believing in people like me. Raindrops fell around them once again, not as a storm, but as a blessing, sealing a story that had begun on a lonely, rain-soaked road and turned into a love that would weather every storm ahead.